just so easily. Yes, I came to Kansas in 1974. It's half my life. Now, who the heck am I? Whatever was read about my background, you hardly can understand it. You don't know and you don't listen, just like introducing yourself. I give $100 to every one of you who can still pass all the names. Well, you should have taken me up on it. I once said to somebody,
I was going to start naming the names, but go ahead. I wanted $100 for the Dutchman.
I know. Don't you misuse the name. Anyway, as an example, you say, okay, you will find it in your work. We're in Nebraska. Now here I am. Yes, I have an accent. Don't worry about it. Get used to it. The thing is, they hired me at VPI. At Kansas State. And I personally think they did not make a mistake. I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to explain. I fitted. If ever a job fitted my temperament, after all the different things I've done before, my position as extension specialist in landscape and environmental horticulture fitted my temperament. I'm independent. Let me see what needs to be done, and we'll go for it my way. And of course, the last my way is cocky. But don't get in my way. So imagine Eric or Tim or anyone you know is hired by the Dutch government to become the forester, urban forester. The Netherlands, easy. 1/6 the size of Kansas. Come on. Where it takes me 4 or 5 hours to get from one corner to the other. In the Netherlands, it's only traffic. And while you stop in traffic for 2 hours, you can think. No problem. So, imagine yourself. You're hired. Take Belgium if you like Belgium better. Take France or take Scotland. Imagine you're there and your job is on Monday morning to work. People will come to you, call you and ask you because your job is support. My job was catalyst. Anything what had to do with landscape and environmental horticulture, support them, support them, support them. Give them good advice. That's not only trees. Never think you only work in trees. You may be a forester, and I've always had great difficulty with it. Forestry, I'm envious of. They are very wise and have been extremely efficient in marketing themselves. They are great lobbyists. I wish horticulture was, but that never was to that extent. Forestry has a name, but forestry at a certain moment had so many trained people. What do you do with them? Europe at that time had already, a friend of mine, had already long, long ago forestry embedded in local communities as an organization to help take care of trees, planting trees, and the landscape. And that's what I picked up when I came. When I looked at my position to be, or when I went back to school, that was in the 60s, when Europe really went after the environment. And I felt at that time, that's where I like to be. But how the hell do you get there? Horticulture. I'd be bored. I talk ornamental horticulture. Forestry, yes, but I'm not, that isn't it either. Landscaping, I sensed, and that's what I want to leave with you, that the real job was a combination of all these different things, but was not available in a certain package by any university where you could get a degree in it. I can give you examples. At a certain moment, I took ornithology. You know what it is, right? Tweet, tweet, tweet. So, my friends then said, okay, Gustav, remember I operated out of the Department of Horticulture. With 3, later 4 kids, I was in charge of the research station while I was running to school. Took me 10 years. I had lots of different experience before. Never wasted any time. Never made any money either. But the big thing is, I took ornithology. So my friends say, ornithology? Are you not going in biology? Now what the hell are you going to do? Now I wasn't a little kid. So I said, what do you mean what the hell I'm going to do? You write all these publications on how to attract birds to your backyard. You have all these shrubs which has these bloody red berries. You know your shrubs, but you don't know who comes and eats them. So isn't it logic to know birds, songbirds, which attract and nest? At what height? I tell my students, do no songbirds nest? You. Don't tell me you don't know. At what height? The first thing you all have to learn as a student is speak up. What height? 3 foot. It's feet. Anyway, 3 feet. Can you imagine following a class of me and being slightly embarrassed?
Yes.
How slight you work at. But they learned, and they didn't suffer. Anyway, between 4 and 8 feet. Never say 1. You will always be nailed. You can say more or less 3 feet, but less, that gets too low. Now we're talking about, you know, the birds which scrabble on the ground. Between 4 and 8 feet, and that can be debated, probably. But the thing is, if you know that, and you are going to influence the surroundings to attract songbird at a place where old people sit and sit the whole day like this, and I'm going there, I don't like it. I'm not making fun of it. But I might have a friend who will say, well, I'll cut your throat. And he'll say, I'll be glad to do it. Hey, that's less painful than sitting 20 years like this. Let me tell you, I'm not joking. It hurts when you sit like that, not when they cut. The thing is, it's more fear that we feel. But between 4 and 8 feet, now we can start to select shrubs. Now you can start to say which shrubs. Around my house, just last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I made a radio program. I made a radio program about how many birds I attracted just on a day, on a weekend. 22 songbirds. But I know where the little rascals will nest. I have created a beautiful word, habitat. You, all of us, don't think trees, think habitat. And we are an animal in that habitat. And you better accept that. And if that's difficult for some people, okay, educate them. There are things like that which I looked at when I came back to school. I was not going to give my energy, nor my money, nor my time, 10 years plus, to something I was not able to do because I wouldn't have done it. So I got a master's, and I'm not bragging on these things. I'm not trying to wave that flag. I never have, and I don't want to. I only encourage young people or older people who come back to school, and I sympathize with them. But if we go back, or if you have people in your community, or if you look at yourself, where am I lacking? I think that we are lacking as a group in landscape design. I'm not making it the most important. I think the placement of plant material is one of the most important things we can work with.
Thank you.
Any more? You're right. Close your eyes. No, you're all right. Way in the back behind you, somebody else. So, what I'm saying is, if you have a position of a certain power or responsibility, imagine you go to Belgium or to the Netherlands or France or wherever, and suddenly you're sitting there and you get these phone calls. Now, Kansas is interesting to me. On the west, 8 inches of rainfall if it comes. Wyoming is worse, but they know it doesn't come. We have hope. In the east, you've got 30 or 32 inches. Generally it comes, but it might come in one afternoon. Then of course we have a flood. But the thing is, you have to know. But what about your soils? What about the city soils? What do you know? What courses have you followed? I'm not trying to say that you don't know. I don't know it all. But I know what I wished I did know. I'm not going back to school anymore. But I'm reading like crazy, and I'm talking with friends and I'm learning, and I wish I could learn more. So never give up in learning or reading or what or thinking. That's why I think these meetings are so valid or valuable for people to be together. Anyway, now here I come to Kansas, and I've done all my coursework, but I still have to write my dissertation, which I was going to do for Virginia. And that was my title, because you have to learn quick. Now listen to this. So here I am, I know I've got to sit down and write something. Knowing me, I can't write something if I don't believe it, okay? I won't do it. I can't do it. I walk away. It's not because I have no power to persist. I don't believe in it. Factors influencing the use of plant material to develop a functional regional landscape in the Great Plains. I'll go again. That was the title of my dissertation. Factors influencing the use of plant material to develop a functional regional landscape in the Great Plains. Of course, we have prairie and Great Plains. Now, always select a good chair. You know what I wrote? First, all factors influencing. And he looked at me and said, Guston, how long do you think you will be busy? So we immediately crossed off all.
Good choice.
How stupid can you get? Now, remember, we talk about trees, people, and towns as a title, right? Now, when you look around your community, are you looking at all people or only your commissioners? Are you looking at old people? Are you looking at children? Are you looking at young people? Are you looking at the challenge? As you work, whatever you do, I know you only have X hours a day, but keep all people in mind. I have worked as American Indian. I'll give you stories. I'm full of stories. In Kansas, a group of Indians, they needed help with trees. So you sit, American Indian. And I may have a different feeling than others have. I don't know. Potawatomi. So I sit with them, and they don't speak. And I try to get them to talk. And there's the big guy from Washington, the usual big, even today. And he just PO'd me so much. So I said to him, now hush it. I want them to talk. I don't want to hear you. So I finally got him to talk and said, now tell me, which trees have meaning for you? If we are going to plant trees around your houses, which trees have meaning? They slowly come out. The cedar. Okay. Thank God we can grow. The pin oak. I said, you know, they didn't only drag or send you down here, but they also took the pin oak away from you. However, I said, I can grow pin oak in certain places where the soil is just right. Pin oak likes more acidic soil, not the alkaline soil. I grow pin oaks on my farm, selected places. So we sat and we talked, what should an American Indian do with a Scots pine? Come on, tell me. I've walked in Scotland in the pine forest, but what should an American Indian do with Scots pine? I mean, I think it's an insult. I say, it's no understanding. We, those of us who work in this kind of environment, should have, one way or another, the sensitivity. It should come from somewhere. By reading, by listening, by being sensitive, by being told by others. We should, be old or young or what. Why do we go to old farm in rural communities? We have a rest home for old people. Many farmers, right? They were long, strong people at one time. They could lift, they could do, they could throw a bull. Now they can't anymore. But you know, even in your wheelchair, you can still go to a little wheat field. And I say, instead of those damn bloody roses you have down there, which are all dying, why don't you have a little plot of wheat? So that he can go down there, and he can go there, and he can go like this, and why? Why does it take so much to think? What do we do with those roses? You don't know how to prune them. But we know how to grow wheat, and you can mow around it. Why don't we think that? I don't know who you work for or with. I've never worked for. Yes, I worked for the Dutch guy. I didn't like it. So I left. But I like to work with people. With. Listen to me, I'll listen to you. And I try to influence you. So there are lots of things. Okay. People, old, young, children, challenged. Don't ever forget the challenged. They're as good as you and me, if not better, because they're honest. Look at the towns. Look where you are. Your locality, your soil, you know it best. I don't know it. I worked as a catalyst. I didn't know it all. I had all of Kansas, from Baxter Springs to Elkhart to St. Francis to White Cloud. I couldn't know it all, but I could stimulate, I could show things, I could help. Give you an example. McPherson got a call from an architect's office. He and I knew each other, respected each other. Because here's this problem downtown. Don't you guys from McPherson talk about this. Old hotel burned down, broken down, and had some kind of park. You wouldn't sit there because the sun was shining on it, was concrete, bloody hot. Just the size of a hotel. Downtown Main Street. What should we do? So, well, let me come and look. So I drove out and we walked down there. And I do have a creative mind. Okay, I'm thankful for it. Makes me me. So I quickly saw an opportunity. I drew it. But then I wanted something special for McPherson. So I had worked on a bigger project earlier for a big park around the courthouse. And I remembered reading how McPherson was founded. Don't ask me the date. People from Salina took a buggy and drove out that direction to make a new settlement for a new town. That was the settlement. 2 gentlemen. And the buggy flipped over somewhere near Lynchburg. But they straightened it up, and the buggy was not damaged, so they kept going. The horse was fine. They got to a hill which today is McPherson. And the story as I read it said that one of the gentlemen lifted a box out of the back, stood on it, and talked to nothing that there was going to be a new town. Now, do you see it? I see it. Come on, don't shake your head that way. Go that way. Up and down, yes.
I'm trying to.
Okay, I'll do it again. Here's the old gentleman on the little wagon, taking off the box, setting the box down, grass growing everywhere. He's stepping on top of it, and he says, "This is going to be McPherson, a whole new town." Now you have to see that. Okay. That stuck with me, and I said to the architect, "You know what? This little park down Main Street, very close to the courthouse, that is a mural, one way or another." Now you sit later with people of the city, and they say, "Yes, we have an iron foundry, they can cut it out." I wasn't intrigued by having it cut out, because what's behind it is seen, right? That's not bad, I can do that. That's all right. But the point is, there are different ways to skin a cat, and I said then, that's well learned. Okay, Gus, shut up. Let them now play it out themselves. It hasn't happened yet. They're trying to raise the money. I understand that. But I drew a quick sketch how I saw it with a small podium, a little park where you could sit in the shade of trees after all the rubbish from the old motel and all the rest which was dumped in the basement is hauled out, hauled out, hauled out. And good soil is put back in so that things might grow. It costs money, I told them that. Who was the fool who threw all the rubbish in there? They filled the basement with trash, junk, old iron, whatever. Out of their mind. No one thought into the future. No one had a vision. Until now, the architect and he and I, we sat together. Of course, we had our meetings with the commissioners and all that, and the big people sitting down there said, "Really?" Well, the trouble is, I read the story, it was just a little cart with 2 wheels, right? It seems to have been a wagon. I said, okay, let's put a wagon on there. I'm giving up, that's not the issue. I want that moment where we start. This gentleman on the box, pointing to the hills, way in the far, far Colorado, want to say, this is going to be McPherson. That, and he said, Gustav, I only studied trees. I know about trees, about roots and illnesses and sicknesses and beetles and all those things. I don't know anything about architecture. I don't know much about architecture either. But I can think it, and I want you to think it. I want you to start to think in your positions outside the box. If I have to work with a school, and a school asks for an outdoor classroom, an idea, then I say, okay, and I get a drawing with all the respect of the biology teacher, which is as if somebody of 6 years old or 8 years old drew it. Don't blame them, they don't know. But then I sit around the table and measure it, how much space. I say, well, let's get an old farm pond of that other 10 acres where you're not going to build soon. Let's get that. That all makes, there are frogs in there, and maybe a heron in there, and other birds. Let's make diversity. Let's build this up. What can we do? And you build it up. Now they got to have a grant. Of course, in my position there at Kansas State, I would hire the student and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at it again, you and I, and then we're going to draw this out. Simple, straightforward drawing we present to the school, and they can present it to the granting, and there they might get $10,000. And now we can build this. I want you to start to think big. I want you to start to say, yes, I can do that. Now the older ones is more difficult. But how do we get young people? Because sooner they say, you remember him? Yeah, we have to look at the files. Yeah, we have an old photo of him of that afternoon when he talked. Yes, he mentioned something, but he's dead now. Get used to the idea, Gustav. Like a friend of mine said in Australia when he told him, I said, I'm busy. He said, Gustav, just remember, you're going to be dead for a long time. Take it easy. Okay, cemeteries. I think cemeteries are underused. Of course, it's not a difficulty here, but if I look for daylilies, I go to cemeteries. I'm sorry. Streets, parking, schools, hospitals. You come out of a hospital fully stressed. Don't you need some kind of planting? Don't you need some kind of landscape? Who of you has not walked the little walk in front of the parking lot and enjoyed it? If you haven't, before you go, walk it. And if you don't enjoy it, you're in the wrong profession. That's something of which I say, that's an example. Excuse me. Parks. Kansas inherited 20 trees that way, 20 trees that way. Just on the grid. Parks. Slowly, now, yes, we have learned we can do better. The whole thing for me is that somewhere landscaping, using all that information is important. And it is best expressed in a landscape. Trees, no. Plant material should from now on be the word you use. Because trees, shrubs, flowers, ornamental grasses, ground covers and climbers, it's all part of the game. With trees alone, you as a forester, you don't get there. You will not make it. You got to think all the other things. And many a forester has come to me years ago and said, Gus, I need more help, I only know trees. And many, by the way, many landscape architects don't know plants either, okay? I take landscape architecture in a broad perspective as the only word I know to create habitat, the whole thing. Had I come to Kansas knowing only trees, I could not have been successful. The word community forestry, I'm not going to tackle. That's fine. I have no problem with it. But it does not show the whole picture. Habitat. Let me tell you quickly. When I pursued the landscape and environment horticulture degree as a study, I built my own course package. There is no package. I think Colorado has it and a few other universities have it. And I sat with colleagues years ago at Kansas State, and I said, let's pull from all the different departments subject matter and pull it as a required package for a student who wants to become an urban forester. And we will make him or her the best. And we talked, but there wasn't the enthusiasm I felt. Oh yes, that's good again. I still maintain that a package form will sell to certain students. You look at yourself and say, if only I could have done that. Boy, a little bit of landscape architecture, just enough to understand what we talk about. When I say to you, raise your hand if it rings a bell. Repton, R-E-P-T-O-N, Repton's principle. Okay, I'll come back to it later. That shows you we need to know. I'm not asking beautiful color drawings. Don't get fooled. Anyone can do those. The computer can do it, and you still don't know anything. Repton's principle. Okay, I'll go quickly through the list. For my, don't get impressed, but I had to choose courses. I said to my committee, oh, that is interesting. I'll do that, well, I'll come to that. My committee, I was in a horticulture department, right? And I was this oddball. Okay. My chair was an agronomist, soil. Think about that. Soil. Soil is extremely important. I had, for the grace of God, 2 horticultural faculty ornamental. I was in the horticulture department. I had 1 landscape architect and 1 forester. That was my committee. As an older student, you tell them, and you do not let them tell you. So I said, this is my committee. 1 agronomist, soil, 2 horticulturists, ornamental, 1 forester, and 1 landscape architect. Hell of a good committee. Easy? No way. What did I take to show you where you can go if you do it? Soils, of course. Geology. Here's a story. Not the easiest course. Geology. 700. Appalachian geology. I came to him. Why would I take in general geology? Why would you take Appalachian geology? Well, I told him, I said, as a landscape architect, I feel I have to know on what I walk. And geology tells me that geology, I walk on the earth, on the mountain, on the plains. I like to know where they come from. Why are they there? And a particular region, Appalachia, the east where I was, intrigues me. He said, okay, take it. 780 course. Of course I was a graduate student. No tests, no quizzes, only discussion and traveling all over the mountains. And I had a Suburban then, so I said, okay, you pay the gas and I'll load it up with 6, 8 people and we'll travel. We did. Did I learn? Did I see? Oh, I saw country. Beautiful country. I understood country. I understood what was underneath it. Cold. Then, of course, as the end came near, well, we have one final exam. No tests, no quizzes, real maturity. So then the day came, final exam. I sat there, I still remember reading. I couldn't even spell the words. So I knew, I can't do this. Now remember, I had to take a general geology, which of course is good, everybody should take that. Where does the earth come from? But now particular geology, which you really know where the coal is, where the oil is, wherever the resources are, minerals. So I insulted him on the paper and said, you should never have let me in. I have no regrets, but I do not expect a grade, and I appreciate it if you just fold this up and say no more. Of course, after 3 days, you get your papers back, right? Then the prof comes in. How small can I get? So, that's why the hell? What the heck did you write on it? Why did you do that? And then he kept passing things up. You know what I got? What do you think I got? A B. Then I went to him. I said, I want to give the B back. That's ridiculous. You and I both know better. I didn't get a B. He said, Gustav, sit down. I said, I want to tell you something. I didn't give you the B. You earned the B. I said, I didn't. Don't argue, Gustav. I said, well, okay. But he said, let me clarify it. If I were asked tomorrow for a capable petrologist or a man who could tell whoever company where the coal was, I surely would not recommend you. However, if I look at my students and ask who has learned the most, you. That was right. But I'm no geologist.